for the theft that occurred here. And we were able to match up the description in the police report to the 3 items that you see here in front of you. And this is where I make a plea to museums, but I don't have to make it to Jessica. Because my plea is document what you have, take photographs, and write descriptions. And I cannot tell you how much it warms my heart to see what Jessica has done. Well, we hope that there is never any other thefts from Tuscarora, from Juniata County at this point. If there are, I cannot tell you how much better chance we have of recovering the items and getting them back to you if we can prove that they were actually stolen from here. In December of 2021, so a long time after we started, Michael Corbett was charged with the possession of a number of stolen items from different museums and historical societies in Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, and Mississippi. Items ranging from the American Revolution, the Spanish-American War, and World War II. He ultimately did enter a guilty plea, and part of his plea was he had access to firearms that he had stolen from a number of museums up and down the East Coast. And we were not able to find them. We don't know where he had them. His attorney simply said he has a way to a path forward to maybe recover some of these other items. But as part of the plea agreement, Mr. Corbett had to turn those items over, waive any ownership right, which he did not have, to them. So we were able to get them back to the museums. Also during the investigation, we were able to uncover additional stolen items that were stolen from museums that were in possession of Michael Corbett's brother. And that actually includes the Civil War pipe and the sharp pistol from the Revolutionary War that you see in front of you today. So between the 2 of these individuals, we were able to get back a number of items. But what I think perhaps has been most striking for us in our investigation is that where these pieces of history were stolen from. 6 historical societies, 4 historic sites, 2 military history museums, and 3 state history museums, again ranging from eastern, central, and western Pennsylvania, New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Mississippi. Each of these institutions, including the Tuscarora Academy Museum, preserves the legacy of our country, and it honors and highlights our shared history. Each of the objects returned to you, as you can see, belong to individuals who lived here and who fought for here at some point in our history. They connect us with the past, with real people, places, events, and ideals in ways that are as important and significant to us now as they were when they were held and used by their owners many years ago. Yet they have been taken simply to be possessed, not to be sold, not to be displayed, just to be had. So I speak today for the entire investigative and prosecution team, and for Jacqueline Romero, the United States Attorney for the Eastern District of Pennsylvania, in saying we are truly honored to be able to return these objects with their stories and their legacies to you, and to see them here where they belong today in your community to be appreciated by all of you. So thank you very much.
Does anybody else want to say a few words before we open it up for questions? Okay, does anybody have questions?
Yeah, is he doing any time?
What I can tell you is because of a plea agreement that we worked out, because it was more important to us to be able to get a lot of items back to their owners, to the victims, including, as I told Jessica, one was a Colt Whitneyville Walker revolver. It was stolen from the Connecticut State Library. It was valued at more than $1 million. We had 2 firearms belonging to General Omar Bradley that were taken from the U.S. Army War College Museum, a battlefield pickup from the Battle of Bizerte in Tunisia, and one of his presentation pistols. Those are the kinds of objects we got back. Because of that, the plea agreement we worked out and that the judge agreed to was that he actually received 1 day imprisonment in jail, 3 years imprisonment at home, a significant, I think it was a $60,000 fine, and also he has to serve, I think it's 5 years of supervised release after that. So again, when we looked at the competing goals of what was most important, and for us it was to get items back to victims, but still he has a felony conviction, and he is, home imprisonment, people might think it's an easy thing. You're in prison at home, and he's not going anywhere else for several years. Well, I think we can pretty much assure that at this point. If he does, he will go to prison. I can promise you for a significant period of time.
So did something happen to the brother?
The brother had been contacted by Montgomery County very early in the investigation when not a lot was known. He was given immunity by Montgomery County, but if it wasn't for him, I think we would not have been able, I think, to make a strong connection as we could with Michael Corbett. Remember, he lived in Delaware. He was off the grid. He did not have a legal address there. We actually tried to do a search warrant. How long did it take us, guys? We had pole cameras up to see if he ever came out of the house. We went to the post office. I mean, the man, so to even prove that he lived there, and the information we got from the brother was where he likely had stolen items stored. So given all of that, and also the brother also did, as part of his immunity agreement, he also had to obviously turn over items that he had stolen as well as that he had received from his brother that he also knew were stolen. So again, the theme here was, we prosecute where we can, but first let's make the victims whole. Yeah.
What ages are we talking about, these brothers?
They were in their 80s, late 70s, early to mid 70s at this point. Yeah. Yeah, they were young men when they committed these thefts, and literally they would scout out. We know one museum in Massachusetts where Michael Corbett, his later wife, girlfriend at the time, we see her signed in the log of the Belchertown Museum. The next night, the museum things were taken from the museum. So we know that Michael Corbett knew what he was looking for. He knew the value of items that he stole. And usually he would go to the smaller historical societies that he knew, one, might not have the records, and two, didn't have the level of security that people can have today. Remember, this was in the 70s, so it was a lot different then. But also, larger museums, the Connecticut State Library, the Springfield Armory, were two of the museums that he also, the U.S. Army War College Museum, that he also stole things from.
How did you notice they were gone, and what time of day and things like that?
Well, first of all, you have to remember, I'm 76 years old. I've been retired for 24 years. I have trouble remembering my name from day to day. And you want me to tell you about something that happened 44 years ago? Now, I have no idea how the museum discovered that they were stolen, but back in 1979, I worked in the plainclothes division, the criminal investigation unit of the state police out of Lewistown. Obviously, I got dispatched to investigate a burglary. I took an itemized list of everything that the curator here told me was stolen, and a good guesstimate of what each item might be worth. I checked the building for footprints, handprints, pry marks. How did they get in? How did they get out? I rattled a few doors, shook a few tree limbs looking for witnesses that may have saw them come or saw them leave, tell me what kind of a car they were driving, and I came up with absolutely nothing to work with. I ended up back at the station. I put everything that I had listed into what's called NCIC. That's National Crime Information Center. If there's a serial number attached, it may turn up someday. With no serial number, chances of finding it are practically zero. With that much said, the case eventually went cold. I had nothing to work on. I pushed it to the bottom of the pile, and as Paul Harvey would say, the rest of the story is up to these gentlemen.
Do we have any other questions?
I think back in '79, wasn't George Jacobs the curator here then yet? I think George was.
It would either be George or David Schellenberger. George was hired by the state back when the state owned the museum,
Right.
but there was like a weird period of time where funding was taken away and Jacobs left and came back, so it was either him or David Schellenberger.
Jess, you
Yes.
said on your papers when you were advertising this that these were only on display today.
Yes.
Why aren't these going into permanent display now that we have them back?
Would anybody care to donate us a really cool display case with a lock that's shatterproof? Because we do have a safe in our archives, which is located in the lower level of a library, and that is where these guys will live until we can afford to have a case that we can have them out here in a way that doesn't give me anxiety at night.
I have a question.
Yes.
Now that the people in the community know that they're back, like Alice Gray, for example, she couldn't be here today. If she came to the curator someday when the museum's open and asked to see them, could you take them out of the safe and show them?
The safe that we have is in our archives, which is under the library. So if anybody would want to see them not here and want to see them there, yes, absolutely, we would get them out and show them to anybody who wants to see them. But maybe one day we'll have a safe or a better, safer place for them to live out here, and then they could be on display for indefinitely. Yeah.
One step at a time.
One step at a time, yes.
Well, that, I guess I should have done the investigation took that long, but do you have any weird stories you want to share about?
How many hours do you have? There's so many I want to tell you. Unfortunately, I don't think I can tell most of them. To categorize this as an investigation, I think is being polite. It has been a quest. It's been a journey. It's been 14 years since we opened this case. And we were in this game for Valley Forge. Where we work, we cover Valley Forge. But there were many times that Andy and I would take long rides from different states in this case, and we would dream about a day like today. It means so much to us, as much as it means to you, for us to be here. For years, we would see descriptions of things stolen, but for us to actually put our hands on it and be able to marry it with a place like this, and now to be here today, it is very exciting for us. It means a lot. So maybe someday we'll be able to tell all those fun stories. Unfortunately, I don't think I can tell some of them right now, but we are so excited to be here today. Absolutely thrilled.
Thank you.
I will say that in doing this inventory, I did come across, unfortunately, several other items that are missing, and I have given every bit of information that I have to KT, so that her and the FBI, and there's a spreadsheet that they have, and so if anything comes up in any other raids, they will at least have the information to be able to lead it back to us then, so.
I think that's very well.
Was his method the same in all the thefts? I mean, were they all break-ins or some during the daylight hours?
Obviously there were thefts. Many of them were done at night. So when the Historical Society or the museums were closed, but there were some that were done. For example, the U.S. Army War College Museum was done during the day when it was open. I mean, what we have to remember is back in the 70s, especially the smaller museums or any museum, people weren't thinking about thefts that much, and there wasn't a lot of security in the rooms. There wasn't a lot of security going in and out. There typically weren't security cameras around. So like I said, we did see both, but primarily I think he did most of his at night. And I told Jessica, or I think I told your state representative, that there were a number of items taken from the Baker Mansion in Altoona. And there, the information that we had was that he actually went back in 2 nights in a row and really took quite a haul from the Baker Mansion. That's probably the most of any one place of items we were able to get back, but there was still a lot because their descriptions were not very good at all. So some we think probably came from there, like Pennsylvania long rifles that we knew were made in the area, but without a really good description, we couldn't say for sure that they were the ones that had been stolen from Baker Mansion. But yeah, so a variety of methods, but typically maybe case it during the day, like he knew where things were. I think at one point we even found a book that he had about East Coast museums, like small historical studies and museums, and what kind of objects were held there. So, and he had family like further out west and north from here, so we think he probably did a lot of reconnoitering in different areas and then took advantage of that, but often go in and break in at night. We don't know. We think his girlfriend, wife at the time, had been in the armed forces. She may have been down there. They may have taken a road trip. But what was taken there was a Charles Gibbs rifle from the Mexican-American War that was taken from the Jefferson Davis house. So it's now it's going back to the Biloxi, Mississippi archives. But I can say he was definitely an opportunist. If he went to different locations. I mean, also said Massachusetts, Connecticut. New York was another location that he went to at the Old Stone Fort in Tuscarora, New York, and took a number of valuable items from that museum as well. So he got around, but he knew weapons and he knew American history.
Are there still items that you have not been able to return?
Yes, there are items we are still looking for. Absolutely. I mean, hope springs eternal for us, and both Detectives Rathbone and Dougherty have been amazing about any possibility, even looking at things at auction that still come up. Because if someone says something's stolen, even if somebody had bought it in good faith, once we tell them it's stolen, this is a stolen item and you're in possession of it. Usually people are good citizens and they realize that's what it is and want to give it back, or we convince them that that's a good thing to give back. They won't be able to sell it or get rid of it. But yeah, there's a number of items, particularly from Valley Forge, a couple fairly historically significant and valuable items that are still missing, as well as from right here, as well as the other museums as well. So we were not able to get everything back, but again, it's for us, it's never over. I don't think.
Did you get any items back that you have not been able to figure out who they belong to? Have not been able to return them to who they came
We
from?
did have some items that we had taken in the belief that they were stolen when we executed the search warrant, and the end result was once we could not determine that they had been stolen from a location. And we did have conversations with Michael Corbett and with his attorney. There were some that Mr. Corbett said that he recalled where and when he had purchased them. But if we couldn't prove that they were stolen, we can't just hold on to them forever. So we did return those. That's not to say if we came across any information that any of those items that we can prove that they're stolen, we will not be going back to get those again.
I'll share a quick story.
Yes.
You wanted to hear a good story about this investigation. So you have to understand that Doc and I are we're municipal detectives at the Upper Marion Township Police Department in King of Prussia, suburb of Philadelphia. Our normal duties are right now we're major crime detectives, but I believe when we started this, you were in drugs and I was in economic crime. So it was this investigation was unique to us because it's not something that we typically get to work. We're usually dealing with retail thefts from the King of Prussia Mall. So we're very fortunate that our bosses allowed us to, put the time and effort into these cold case burglaries. When we got to the point where we were targeting Mr. Corbett and wanted to serve a search warrant on his house, obviously it's outside of our jurisdiction. And that's where we team up with the FBI's art crime team and the U.S. Attorney's Office. The day of the search warrant, we had obviously had a number of items that we were looking for. We're down there with the FBI's evidence recovery team, which is the same exact team that processed the Boston Marathon bombings. And it's pretty unique for us to be there working alongside of these people. And we go into the house, and it was a hoarder situation. And there was not anything readily apparent in plain view that we were looking for. Starting to get frustrated. One of the FBI agents, I give him a lot of credit, it's a normal split-level house like you would see in any, residential suburban neighborhood. And he got up on the second floor, and we're up in the attic. Climbed the drop-down stairs. We're up in the attic, and he's looking down at the end of the house. And then he comes back down the hallway. He's looking down at the end of the house on the second floor, and he says, "I think that there's more room on the second floor than there is in the attic." So we get a tape measure out. And we measure out the distance between where the stairs come down on the wall on the second floor, and then we get up in the attic and realize that it's 4 feet short. We then took down the false wall that he had built and located the cache of weapons that ultimately ended up being part of this case.
Do we have any other questions? Yes.
Jessica, are there any descendants of the original owners still around that were able to celebrate in receiving this back? I know you personally haven't.
I was just saying, I'm a descendant of the Culbertson family, so that was pretty cool. But Alfred Bartram and his wife, he was from England. He married a Juniata County girl, and they didn't have children, so there wouldn't be any for him. Mr. Donnelly, though, there might be. I'm not sure. No one has come forward to say so, but I mean, they lived in Juniata County, so very possible. So my question is, who do you want to play you in the movie when it comes out?
Sam Elliott for Curly.
There we go, Jerry. Yes. Approved. Well, we want to thank everybody for coming out today. Please enjoy the museum. We're open here until 5. There's two floors of really, really great items, and we will be here if you have any other questions about things. Do you guys mind staying for a photo, all of you? Okay. All right. So thank you guys for coming. Enjoy your historic day in academia.